Sometimes disasters strike and not even the latest and greatest multi-tool can fix that problem at the side of the road. So today we're going to look at 5 ways to use cable ties or zip ties, depending on what side of the ocean you come from, so that you can fix your bike and get home and, well, repair it properly. A quick disclaimer now, these are just some hacks and bodges to get you home or to the nearest bike shop. Make sure you get it fixed correctly before your next ride. What happens then if we snap or break a rear gear cable? Yeah, that one is a real pain in the backside because generally you are going to go right down into your hardest sprocket at the rear, meaning it's going to be tougher for you to get home and actually repair it. So you could take out the gear cable and do all sorts of bodges and hacks like that, but well, it's going to take you a long time and not really worth the effort, especially if you've packed a couple of these in your saddlebag. So, simplest thing to do here would be to lift the bike off of the ground, maybe put it onto your shoulder as a temporary rest, pedal around the chain set, and then move the rear derailleur into a gear of your choice that you think you can get home with. And then, using the zip tie, you simply wrap it around like so, meaning it's in exactly the right place and, well, it's going to get you home so you can repair it. The routing of that cable tie, it will depend on the model of rear derailleur you've got, so have a little look around, but you should be able to get it to work one way or another. Sometimes as well, it may help just to unscrew a couple of the adjustment screws on the rear derailleur too, so that the zip tie can just slot between it and not fall out of place. What then if further disaster strikes out on this ride and we happen to lose, or at least shear out, our jockey wheel bolt, or our pulley wheel bolt, some of us may well call it, from the rear derailleur? Well, don't worry, this actually happened to me way back in 1995, the Guustavv van Assen in Holland. I was on my way to the prologue time trial. Believe it or not, the rear derailleur pulley bolt did exactly that, and I had to bodge it in this very way. So we're going to put it back in place, and then using a couple of very small cable ties, we can actually wrap it around the cage of the derailleur and actually hold it in position. Now, it's not going to be a super firm grip or anything, but well, it will do the job probably to get you home. Sometimes you may have to use a couple just to really add a bit more tension to make sure it stays in there, but it should hopefully get you home. Right, this ride has gone from bad to worse. You've suddenly sheared off the lock ring of your cassette. Now, this isn't very common, I must say, but 2005, Lanzarote, when I worked out there, the exact thing happened to a chap I was out riding with. I don't know how, I don't really want to know how. Either way, it happened. We panicked. I didn't panic quite as much though, because in my saddlebag I had with me a few zip ties, and I said to him, prepare to get your jersey pocket dirty, and he took off all of the loose sprockets, so anything that wasn't on a cluster, which basically was the last 3, but obviously sometimes you do have them in more of a cluster, but essentially you want to leave yourself the last few sprockets, so the biggest ones here at the rear, leave them on the actual free hub, put the other ones, the dirty oily ones, into your jersey pocket, get those zip ties out of your saddlebag, and then just simply strap them to the rear of the spokes. This one is an absolute classic. I don't advise riding hundreds of kilometers on it. Again, it's just a simple get you home style method, but it works, and my God, it's a good one. Now, of course, the bigger the zip tie, the more secure it's going to be, but also it could be even more fiddly than what it is. But if you're stuck in the middle of nowhere, it's certainly a get you home style thing you can do, but just bear that in mind. But and also don't put too much power through the pedals, because you are relying on the spokes here to work in a different way than what they're intended to be. Now, one thing I didn't tell him at the time was that he was going to have to pedal all the way home, because essentially I just turned his bike into a fixed wheel bike, remember, because the spokes were now attached onto the cassette. So whilst that was turning, he couldn't freewheel, otherwise he would have snapped those cable ties, or his spokes, or probably both. What then if one of your chainring bolts falls out? This is actually more common than you think, and once one goes, the rest have an enhanced amount of pressure being put on them, and the chance of them failing is a lot higher. So obviously you want to go a little bit easier, but in the meantime, yeah, that's right, get out that cable tie, that zip tie, and you can simply thread it through the existing hole and tighten it into place. Again, the bigger the better there. The chances are though, you're not going to have anything to actually cut it down or trim it down, so you may well have something irritating hitting you on your ankle every single pedal stroke, but I'm sure you'd rather that than not getting home at all. Now, if you don't have this style of chain set with the exposed chainring bolts, and you've got something like this one here on this bike, this Shimano one, well, you can simply use a bit of initiative really and just wrap around that cable tie and hold the chainring in place. But they are harder to spot if you're going to lose one, of course, because they're hidden away from the inside. Final one now, hack lovers, and this one happened to a friend of mine on the start line of a cyclocross race. Blind panic again across his face. Somehow his ratchet system suddenly failed, and it could happen to you too. Maybe you're out on a gravel ride and somehow your ratchet wires or something gets caught up in a tree root, and next thing you know, it's packed up. Don't panic though. Carry a couple of spare zip ties with you, either a very long one or maybe even two, and you can simply join them together and then wrap them around and close your shoe. Of course, don't do it up ultra tight. If you do it up too tight, you're going to cut off the circulation to your foot. You want it just enough so it is snug, just like it would be if you had that ratchet system fitted to it. When you get home, you can carefully cut it free and, well, repair that system. There we are, a handful of hacks or bodges, whatever you want to call them, using a zip tie or a cable tie, whatever you want to call them too. Let me know though if you've got any little hacks using zip ties in the comment section below. I reckon that anyone who watches this who rides a mountain bike will have at least 10 or 15, so make sure you get involved in that comment section below. And also remember to like and share this video with your friends, and also subscribe to the channel, and don't forget, click that notification icon so you get a little ding dong each and every time we put a video live. Don't forget also, check out the GCN shop at shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com. And now for two more great videos, how about clicking just down here and just down here. Mate, have you got any scissors? Scissors! Great, stuck.